It's Nick from the Roxy back with you, looking at some more kind of interesting items that we've got in the shop, things that people bring in, and just things that I love really, and certainly things I love about owning a record shop and seeing the kind of things that are out there. Because again, keep saying it, we're not just a record shop, we're a music memorabilia shop. And I get quite excited by some of the things that do walk through the door. It's the little items of interest that keep me doing this, and it's the little nuggets out there that you pick up, and or in this case, what I'm about to show you today that have come in the shop, and you look a little bit into it and what it was about, the history and things like that. So what I've got for you today anyway is a guy who does a lot of work in the shop for me, Ray. He's always at the car boot sales, charity shops. He's always mooching around looking for different collectibles, goes all around the UK, different record shops. And he came in the shop one day really excited and said, look what I've just found in one of the charity shops. And there was literally a bundle, and when I say a bundle, I mean a bundle of records, nothing particularly different you would imagine from having a bundle of other 7-inch singles, but these were slightly different. Now, I'm in the northeast of England. Our local radio station was Radio Tees back in the day. And I remember it very well because one of my best friends was very fortunate and lucky enough, and he had enough about him that when we were doing our work experience as kids, and used to get that 2-week block, remember, where you'd go out to a factory or a place of work or whatever it was, and my best friend at the time, Ian, ended up at Radio Tees because it was always his dream to work in a radio station or become a DJ, which he did as well. He dabbled a little bit in that when he was younger. But anyway, going back to Ray. Ray came in, and I'm hoping that you can see there, with a bundle of 7-inch singles, and they're from Radio Tees. They're obviously they're housed in the old sleeves that when back in the day DJs had to put on their own records and line them up, and it wasn't this kind of digital world that we now live in where everything's kind of probably on some computer system. Any track that you want in the world, like a Spotify or an Alexa kind of machine, where they just shout out what they want to play next. This was the old style. This was records on shelves in a library, in a radio station, in this case Radio Tees, and the DJs would have had to probably get out the 20 records that they want to play over that maybe 2 hours. I don't know, would they get 20 records over an hour? I'm assuming these days with kind of ad breaks and things like that, the norm is probably about 15 records, is it 12, 15 records an hour, which seems absolutely mental because the adverts drive me nuts, and I'm sure they drive loads of you nuts. I listen to some radio. My personal favourites, I like internet radio, like Street Sounds, the Morgan Khan radio station, because it plays the soul and the funk that I kind of love. But back in the day, we all listened in our area to Radio Tees. That was the go-to radio station. And the reason we listen to Radio Tees is because you got your travel information on the morning. You engage with the DJs, with characters that were on air every day. They were almost like part of your family, really. And again, I remember kind of mum and dad, they would have the gardening show on at the weekend, and there'd be like the first time I think I ever heard like a phone-in section to that. And I was quite obsessed with radio back in the day. I've still got a lot of cassettes of radio shows from the kind of late 70s, early 80s. But sticking on track, sticking with Radio Tees, I never recorded much of these, although I did record the soul shows with Adrian Allen. So, but again, isn't it fascinating that I still know who the guy was on the soul show from probably 40 years ago, 45 years ago now. Adrian Allen's Rhythm and Groove Soul Show was a big staple on Radio Tees, and I did record them as a specialist show. Obviously, again, I've said before, my love of music is the soul, the jazz funk, and jazz fusion kind of music. So that was very particular to me. But I remember back in the day, if you had a local radio station and it was on all the time in the house, and you'd get to know the DJs. And people on Radio Tees would have been John Simons, as I've said, Adrian Allen, Graham Robb. I think Jess Stelling started out as a news reporter on Radio Tees. Oh, there's probably a few that I missed, but it was absolutely, local radio was really, really popular and really, really big back in the day. So I was fascinated to get these singles in. So what I wanted to do is share with you a little bit about these. Now, they're a mixed bunch, obviously very poppy, a little bit of kind of soulful stuff in there, but obviously, again, there's some key kind of elements to these singles that I hadn't even realised, not being a kid, never having worked in a radio station. But I was fascinated to see how much information that they used to put on these plain brown singles. So this one's a Rolling Stones single, so you can see there, and on it they've put a sticker with Radio Tees on it, the radio station, so you can see. All right, there you go, you can see the little sticker. So I'm assuming that the record companies would have sent these out to the local radio stations, and straight away the DJs or the person in the sorting office would have put the radio station logo on the front, which is this. So you've got Radio Tees there. Now this is a double A side. It's Honky Tonk Woman and Ruby Tuesday. Okay, Blue Label. And I'm looking at the year on this. It's got 1969. I'm not sure when Radio Tees started broadcasting. I'm not sure when they started broadcasting across the kind of northeast area. But again, I'm sure if somebody's watching this, they'll be able to know. They would have that information. They might even have worked there. So that would kind of go back in the sleeve. And then you had these kind of plain brown sleeves, which you can still get. They were obviously quite big with the Northern Soul crowd because it was a plain cover, and Echoes were just kind of housed in these and taken to the gigs up and down the country. But again, you can see there's different stickers on. There's one on the top, there's one on the bottom with different information on. Now this information on the top sticker, it's got Honky Tonk Woman and Rolling Stones under the title, and it has got a little, what's the word, a gap or a section for the duration, the intro and the fades. It's also got so there's nothing written on for that, but it's also got the songwriters, Jagger and Richards, because again, I would imagine back in the day that all of this would have had to have been recorded so that the artists got their kind of royalties, and the publisher is on the bottom. It's got Essex there. I'm not sure what that's about. Somebody might know, and you can drop me a line underneath. And the sticker on the bottom is very, very similar to that on the top. That just kind of identifies the writers and the song. Now, the one on the side, this long strip here, which I'll show you in a minute, but it kind of features on most of the records, if not all of them. that came in. Now, this in itself, I think, is incredibly exciting, because this will have been how the radio station would have recorded when each of the tracks was played on the radio. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just taking a wild guess at all of this, but it's got on here Radio T's record library. It's got reference number 105164, and it says return this record immediately after use, for library use only. So that's the bit in red. So I am well imagining that the DJ kind of chooses, or his producer chooses, the tracks that are going to be played that day or evening, and they'll pick out the maybe the 2030 that they're going to do, and the track will be played in kind of sync with how he wants his show to go, and then it'll have been recorded. And you can see, do you remember when they used to kind of ink stamp with dates that things were, I don't know, if a letter was sent, it was date stamped, wasn't it, when it came in, when you opened it in the office? Well, in a similar way, this has been date stamped with the number of times it's been played. Now, obviously, Rolling Stones is a massive, massive group, really popular on radio. So we've got here, you can maybe have made out some of the dates, but 25th of, or it was probably played on 7th of October, 80, maybe, that's a bit blurred. 25th of August 81, 23rd of August 81, 20th of September 81, 20th of October 81, 26th of October 81, so on, going down to dates in 82. So between 81 and 82, I'm going to cover my face so you can get a better kind of view of that. So between 81 and 82, that kind of record would have been played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about a dozen to 15 times, something like that. But it's fascinating, isn't it? A glimpse of radio station history. I love that. So anyway, there was lots came in. There are other records that haven't got half as many players as what the Rolling Stones did. This is Heatwave. Now, as big as Heatwave might have been for some people, and certainly in the soul circles, remember the legend himself, Rod Temperton, writer of so many of Michael Jackson's songs, worked with Quincy, set the benchmark with Off the Wall and Thriller. Rod Temperton's band, yet he couldn't get a player for his own band, Heatwave, which is really interesting back in the day. The guy could basically walk around, unbeknown to many, many people in the world, and the fact that he's one of the biggest selling songwriters of all time is just kind of lost on everyone. But anyway, there's his band. So again, you've gone from the Rolling Stones with lots of kind of airplay to Heatwave, which had hardly any. He's a young guy starting out. Luther Vandross, Never Catch On. Never Too Much. Never Too Much wasn't a big single when it first came out. It kind of gained momentum in the clubs over the years and finally became a kind of medium-sized hit in the end. But you can see, again, the record company, in this case Epic, or their subsidiary, would have been sending out the records to the radio stations. The information on this, the title Never Too Much, the artist Luther Vandross, the duration of the record, 3 minutes 41, so the DJ would have known exactly how long each record was going to play. He's a quirky one as well, and again, if you worked in a radio station back in the 70s, early 80s, you'll know the duration, the intro is 38 seconds on this sleeve. So somebody's worked that out, and the DJ's got 38 seconds to do his little voice over while the music's kind of cranking up, and before Luther's voice comes in, and that So again, incredibly. And then it's got a little section there which says, does it end or does it fade? And they've crossed out the fact that it ends, and they've left highlighted the fact that this record is going to fade out. So again, the DJ's got this information. The producer's probably going to have heard this and played it previously. He'll have put this sticker on and set up all the kind of the information for the DJ. So while the record's spinning, the DJ, I'm sure, is looking at a little watch, clock, stopwatch, whatever you want to call it, whatever it would have been, at the side. He'll know how long he's got to talk, to introduce, to talk about the weather, the traffic, whatever was topical at that moment in time. And he's got 38 seconds before Luther comes in to start the song, Never Too Much. The composer, it's got on as Luther Vandross, and it's got the publisher as Apru Music. That's lost on me a little bit. Can't imagine what that would be, but some of you, again, might know. So again, we've got loads of these. I've got some that have barely got any radio play at all, even though they're great singles. The Joy, the band AKA, great song, great soul classic. A lot of these tend to be soul, funk, boogie, 7-inch singles, but they don't get much play. And I'm gutted about that back in the day, because again, my love of soul and funk and boogie is legendary, and it wasn't getting played. It was getting played with Adrian Allen on his soul show, but daytime radio clearly wasn't playing it. Now here's one. I thought I'd pull this one out because this is a demo record. You can see on the sleeve, not for sale. So it's Tony Ashton and John Ford. I've never heard of these guys. And they've got the Radio T sticker on, and they've got the label on, and it's called the Resurrection Shuffle. So all the information you expect on a label is there, including the sticker, but it's also a demo record and not for sale. Now, we all know how much we love a demo record in these collectible times for records, particularly 7-inch singles and albums. If you've got a promo or a demo of anything, generally it's worth more money and is more collectible than a bog standard release. So that's interesting. Oh, now here's something different again. Now this on the long label has got the name of the DJ that would be playing this at a particular time. So it might have been that it's got on a little stamp hit pick. So I'm assuming the name of the band or the name of the DJ in this instance is Alistair Perry, who went on to have quite a considerable TV broadcasting career. Week beginning, oh gosh, what's that say? Something June 77. So that's been in the library from June 77, but it wasn't being played or picked out until 1981. And again, these are all of that similar era, aren't they? They're all stamped with a particular date in 1981. But again, you've got the DJ's name linked to that. All You Need Is Love by New Music, publisher and writers. Probably weird cover of a Lennon McCartney song by a band called New Music. And obviously they're really one of their big songs, All You Need Is Love. I've never heard of the band, but there you can see the publisher, Northern Songs. It's got the duration, 3:46. It's got the intro, which you can't make out, and the fact that it fades rather than ends. So a lot of information for the DJ. And it goes on, and it goes on. So what else have I got? So Pilot, The Mover, Is That ZZ Top, Give Me All Your Loving. Men Without Hats, The Safety Dance, that's very, very 80s. Casey and the Sunshine Band. The Human League. That right way up. There you go. So again, you can see they've all got the information on. Something else I love as well is record labels. One Lover Don't Stop the Show by Forrest. Again, all these kind of soul, boogie, funk tracks. Never even played, or it looks like they weren't played back in the day. But absolutely love that kind of stuff. The Manhattan Transfer, Spice of Life. Again, more airplays. What else have we got? Maybe that's why they've been dumped. One of the Solid Gold singles. A little bit of Sad Cafe. There's no love at all for some of these. Now, as it developed and Radio T's kind of had its day, they became TFM. Now, there's a new sticker up there in the top corner. What's this record? The legendary Milli Vanilli and Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. Wow, that's got some history, hasn't it, if you know your music? So this has got the sticker of TFM. It's got less information on the top other than the title of the artist and the name of the song, but it has got a reference code here. So again, there'll have been some kind of library system. You can see Radio T is kind of shut down, became TFM, moved to a different location on the riverside in town, and things started changing. So they've probably now, I don't know, again, you can tell me if you know about Radio T's or radio stations in general. That record, Milli Vanilli, came out in 1985, is that? I can't see it. My eyesight's rubbish. Maybe it's about 1985. So the maybe things are changing. Maybe there's a more digital kind of way of logging the records that came into the library. Chicago, Hard Habit to Break. Again, great label. Love seeing labels. And Gidea Park. Again, there's no little bit of airplay. Gidea Park were one of these kind of Stars on 45 band. They had a brilliant sound, kind of echoing the Beach Boys sound, but not a lot of love for them. Maureen McGovern, there's a promo single, Not For Sale. The Beautiful Windmills of Your Mind on one side, but the radio station playing You'll Never Know. And on it goes the Gap Band, Gladys Knight, Bad Boys. Well, I see Bad Boys couldn't even get a play back then. George Michael, poor old George Michael, couldn't earn a dime off Radio T's back in the day with Bad Boys. Whatever became of George Michael. Hitching a Ride, Vanity Fair, and it just goes on and on and on. So I just wanted to share that with you. I thought it was a really just important look back to see how they used to do it. I'm just looking back through. Now, one to leave you on might be this one, because again, it had lots of airplay. I'm sure it would have been played day and night, and it's The Animals, The House of the Rising Sun. Again, you can see the information there for the DJ, the kind of producer would have put on the single itself. But again, like the Stones that we showed you right at the start, you can see how often this record was, how often it was played, and obviously as a result, how popular. So it might be that people were writing in, asking, requesting, that kind of thing. So that's a good place to leave it. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm Nick. I'm at the Roxy in Billingham. We're open Thursday, Friday and Saturday. All of this stuff is available to buy. I'd love to see you come and just love people bringing little treasures like this into the shop. Points of interest, and again, we'll do some more videos on other things about local music history and things as we kind of progress. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Come and see us. Open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. As said, the Roxy at Billingham. It'd be great to see you if you come. All right, take care.